There is a giant whale out there that's buying a certain amount of coin, one coin out there, a lot of it, okay? So I'm going to cover that, and that's going to bode well for the rest of the bull market, okay? So listen up. We have 11 years ago, Hal Finney, who I think is Satoshi, passed away, and he is now in cold storage, or he's cryogenically frozen. So, yeah, he was a true cypherpunk, he's one of the OGs for sure, one of the OGs. Now, we also have some really bad news for the US dollar, which is great news for Bitcoin. So the US Treasury buys back $1.4 billion in debt, taking total to $7.4 billion just over the past 2 weeks. So what does that mean? It means that they need to buy their own debt. Okay, less and less people are wanting to buy their debt, okay, US debt. And that also means that they're enacting what you call debt monetization, which is essentially buying back their own debt because fewer people want that debt. Japan actually owns like the most US treasuries out there other than the US. But yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see what happens in the future because this is the end stage of a currency, debt monetization. Yeah, it's essentially being the buyer and lender of last resort. Now we also have US housing market hits record unaffordability with home ownership costs at the highest level since the 1980s. So just as these politicians say that there's no inflation, you know that there's a ton of inflation. So pretty much the opposite of what politicians, high-end politicians, I should say. Low-end politicians, they might actually care about you. High-end politicians definitely don't care about you. So it's the opposite, okay? And so with this whole tariff thing, with the amount of currency printing, with debt monetization, with the president super interested in Cracker Barrel's logo, this is idiocracy on steroids. So this, you know, why are they talking about Cracker Barrel? Who cares? You know, it's about like inflation is going to affect way more people than a Cracker Barrel logo, okay? So start focusing on what really matters, guys. And now let's go on to the actual health of the people in the US economy that actually are making a difference. Noticeable drops in traffic at restaurants, shops, and malls, fewer people traveling or eating out. Increased coupon clipping and price sensitivity. This is according to Fortune. Guys, this is the middle class. Like, it's unfortunate that this is happening, but they're going to continue being a dying breed of people. And that is like, that's kind of the end game for an empire as well. Like, this is what you get. And unfortunately, a lot of these middle class are not educated about finance. And I know several people back in the States that, you know, they still don't get inflation. They're like, well, I don't understand why housing prices keeps rising. I think it's gonna, like, why does it keep rising? And I'm like, well, it's simply inflation, guys. Like, this is what's happening right now. Their Federal Reserve is printing tons and tons of currency, which is causing prices to rise. And they're like, oh, well, I still don't understand. I'm like, okay, well, this is the typical middle class, which is unfortunate because they desperately need to learn about inflation and what actually causes it, because then they can take action. Okay, so also we have Charlie Bailio on Twitter saying the US money supply grew 4.8% over the last year, the biggest year-over-year increase since July 2022. After a brief hiatus, money printing is back. Yes, guys, I don't think money printing ever stopped, first off. Do you think money printing ever stopped? It definitely didn't print. And also, it's not money, it's actually currency. Currency's big difference between money and currency. I've talked to them about that before. But here we are. Also, US government is going to begin publishing economic data on the blockchain. So Heidi said, posting fake data on blockchain doesn't make it legitimate. Exactly. Like, you're going to trust the US government at this point in time? I mean, come on, please. Essentially, they're just providing provable history that they're lying. Okay? Simple as that. Now let's go on to Ethereum. All right. So Tom Lee said last week, ETH is going to $5,500 in the next couple of weeks and $10,000 to $12,000 by the end of the year. We'll see. You know, I don't know what it's going to hit. Okay. All I know is Ethereum is in a stage where finally it's catching up really, really fast to Bitcoin in terms of like how much it lagged at the beginning of this bull market to what it's doing now. I mean, essentially, we did $1,500 to $4,800 in a month and a half or 2 months or something like that. So that's pretty impressive rise right there. Also, we have, okay, so this is that Ethereum whale out there that sold $577 million worth of Bitcoin and bought $2.2 billion of ETH. Now it also shows under this graph, here's why we have a correction and what will be next. This is exactly my thoughts on this, is that we have started alt season, okay? And maybe it's not exploding higher. All these alts aren't doing 10Xs right now. Just have a little patience, you know? That's all you need to have, is a little bit of patience. And definitely check out learningcrypto.com if you want to see my thoughts, my deeper thoughts on what's happening in the market, also our portfolio, and also when we're buying and when we're selling. And I do that within 5 minutes of my trade. So yeah, so I'm not front running anybody. Talk to you soon.